continue. Hello children, I wonder if you can hear me. It's Miss Emmanuel, obviously. I'm sorry about that. We have had a bit of trouble with the Wi-Fi. 3F have had their lesson very successfully, and then the internet crashed when it was time for your lesson. But anyway, hopefully you are able to hear me and see me now, and we can have a look at starting our writing lesson. Okay. Right. Let's have a look. So, our learning today, our I can, let me just get this up, is I can explore a text as a reader. Just to remind us of what we're doing, yesterday you will have looked at comparing two characters from Roald Dahl's James the Giant Peach. So we are now going to look at comparing, or we're going to start exploring one of our characters that we're going to compare later in the week. Hopefully we'll be able to share it on our newsletter. And why are we doing it? Well, we want to understand how characters have similarities and differences. So it's to really get to grips with understanding character and how writers convey character. So looking at our writing journey, yesterday we explored as a writer, thinking about the structure and the language of writing. Today and tomorrow our lessons 2 and 3 this week, we'll be looking at exploring as a reader and responding as a reader to a text. The steps to success. I can match a word with its definition. I can identify features of a character's appearance from a text. Appearance, that's how a character looks. I can identify a character's personality traits from a text, so that's thinking about what a character is like. And finally, I can infer meaning from a text, so using inference, inferring, and we know that's about following the clues and reading between the lines and trying to understand something more than is written on the page. Let's start with vocab lab. So I will read through the words in red. That's the vocabulary we're going to look at. If I read the word out and then you repeat it, say it out loud wherever you are in your bedrooms or your kitchens, say the word out loud to practice. So, barbaric, flabbergasting, falafels, notorious, ghoulish, contrary, and belch. Okay, those are our keywords for the day. Let's just read through now the definitions, the meanings of those words, and I'll go through those and then you can start to match them up. So we've got very cruel, spiced chickpeas rolled into a ball and deep fried, like a ghost, burp, well known, surprising, and opposite. So with your finger on the screen, or if you've printed it out, just draw lines matching the keyword and its definition. I'll give you a minute or two to do that just now. Right, how have we got on? Now, you may have started with the easier words, the words that are more familiar to you. But I think perhaps if I might have been you, would have started with maybe ghoulish, which means like a ghost. Falafels. I don't know if you've ever eaten falafels, but they are the spiced chickpeas rolled into a ball and deep fried. Belch means to burp. Then we've got barbaric. That's a more tricky one, but we've limited the answers we've got now. So barbaric means very cruel. Flabbergasting, what a wonderful word, a very Roald Dahl type word, isn't it? Flabbergasting. That means surprising. Notorious is well known, so you could be notorious for doing something. That means well known. And contrary means opposite. That's the last one we've got. Sometimes people are called contrary Mary, somebody who does the opposite of what they're asked to do. Okay, hopefully you've got at least a few of those right. They are tricky words, and I wonder whether they will give you an indication about anything to do with the type of book we're going to read and the character we're going to study today. We're going to use roll on the wall. Now, we've done this before. We used roll on the wall earlier in the year when we looked at the Sandman. How you're going to use this is you're going to think about the appearance of our character today, and you will put anything to do with appearance around the outside of a body figure. Now, you could, I have put some online if you wanted to print them off and you'd already done that, printed them off, or if you're going to work in your book or on a piece of paper, you could very quickly draw the outline of a body. Then around the outside, you'll be putting anything that explains the appearance of the character, what they look like, and then on the inside, the internal traits, which are to do with personality and feelings. So just take a moment to draw that outline. The character that we're going to look at is Amelia Fang. Okay, the book is called Amelia Fang and the Barbaric Ball. So we're going to have a look at that. I'm going to read you just the first chapter, and as I go along, I might help you by identifying some of the things that she does and says, or how she looks, to add to your drawing. At the end, you'll have plenty of time to add more detail to that. But as we go along, if there are little bits that you want to add as we go through, that's probably a good time to do it. Right, here we go. Chapter 1, Flabbergasting Falafels. It was a dark and gloomy Wednesday night in Nocturnia. Countess Frivolita Fang sipped at her scream tea and tapped the dining room table with her long black fingernails as the clock struck 4 a.m. Drake, my darkness, you do know it's our annual barbaric ball in just 3 nights, cooed Countess Frivolita. We still have invitations to send, catering to sort out, and oh, did you book the Howling Wolf Band? Count Drake's eyes widened. I'll phone them tonight, dearest rat brains. And Drakey, you'll need to wear your best suit for the ball. None of those Hawaiian graveyard shirts you like so much. We really must find a way to unstick all that goblin slime from last year's ball too. Goblins were notorious for leaving slime trails, stickier than the stickiest superglue. They were impossible to remove. Not another barbaric ball, moaned Amelia Fang, slumping back in her chair. Oh, Amelia Fang, I haven't really been clear. Amelia Fang is the character that you are thinking about and writing about today. So any reference, any mention of her in the book is for you to really perk your ears up and think about, what is she like? What does she look like? What does she do? So here we've got the first mention of her. She says, not another barbaric ball, moaned Amelia Fang, slumping back into her chair. They're always full of old monsters wearing too many frills and far too much eau de decay. So here we see this character slumping in her chair. She doesn't seem very happy, does she? She doesn't want to go to the ball, so she's quite resistant, quite unhappy. She's moaning. Amelia had just turned 10 and would much rather be hanging out with her best friends Florence and Grimaldi. Amelia Fang, I won't have that bat chat from you, said the Countess sternly. Firstly, eau de decay is the finest perfume in all of Nocturnia. It's made from fermented bat spit with a hint of rotten banana, after all. And secondly, the barbaric ball is a family tradition. It's our chance to show everyone how fantastic we are. Isn't this wonderful vocabulary, talking about fangtastic instead of fantastic, and bat chat instead of back chat. Hosted by the Fang family for generations, the Barbaric Ball was the annual event in Nocturnia. Only the most ghoulish and ghastly were invited, and the ball was Countess Frivolita's pride and joy. But I get so bored, Amelia grumbled. It would be much better if someone my own age were there. Oh, so we're finding out that she really doesn't like to be bored, doesn't particularly want to hang out with adults, does she, and grown-ups, wants to be with her friends, which I think is fairly typical of a 10-year-old. You know the ball is only for grown-ups, said the Countess. Then surely I don't have to go, said Amelia hopefully. Of course you have to go. You must learn the ropes so that you can carry on the barbaric ball tradition, said her mother with a gleeful grin. But what if I don't want to, mumbled Amelia. I want to study pumpkinology when I grow up and help poorly pumpkins. Oh, so she's got a caring side to her, hasn't she? And she loves pumpkins. Countess Frivolita burst out laughing. Darling, don't be silly. Oh, you'll make my eye makeup run. She checked her face in the mirror behind her, then blew herself a kiss. You may have heard that vampires don't have reflections. That is pure glitter. And no one loved theirs more than Countess Frivolita. You'd ruin your delicate vampiress hands with all the digging. Oh, so there's a little clue. So she has delicate vampiress hands. Delicate means fine and perhaps a bit fragile, need to be protected with all the digging. So perhaps we could say from that that Amelia loves being outdoors. She's a bit of an outdoorsy girl, likes digging in the garden, playing in the vegetable patch perhaps. Now sit up straight, ready for dinner, she continued. Woo! Amelia sighed as a ghost floated solemnly into the room, carrying a tray of something that looked like a pile of big bogies. It was useless for Amelia to try to speak to her mother about what she wanted. Being a Fang meant countless vampiress etiquette lessons, cobwebbing practice, and never-ending preparations for the barbaric ball. Sometimes Amelia wished she belonged to a different family. You might think it was fun being part of a vampire family, but obviously Amelia's got mixed feelings at the moment. You're flabbergasting falafels, Countess, said Wu. He was the most respected ghost butler in all of Nocturnia. So a butler is somebody who takes who serves the people who own the house, doesn't he? So he helps to do the cooking and the looking after of the adults and family in the house. Contrary to popular belief, vampires don't actually live on a diet of blood. It gives them very stinky breath. Thank you, Wu. That will be all, said the Countess. Amelia flapped her wings grumpily and flicked a piece of falafel onto the floor. Oh, so we know she's got wings. You may have looked at some of the pictures of her. You know she's got wings, so you can add that to your appearance, how she looks on the outside. Her pet pumpkin, Squashy, gobbled it up, then bounced onto Amelia's lap. Hey, Squashy, Amelia giggled. Have some more falafel. I know it's your favourite. Squashy waggled his stalk from side to side in agreement. Maybe the king will come to the ball this year, said Amelia, through a mouthful of sour spinach. Oh, talking with a mouthful. Not likely, said Countess Frivolita. He hasn't stepped outside the palace since the fairy incident. She looked at her husband. Drakey, my awful little Germanoid, you really should make more of an effort to see King Vladimir. You two used to be such good friends. Count Drake gave a long sigh. Dearest Belchbreath, it's no use. What terms of endearment they have for each other, don't they? Belchbreath, that's nice. Dearest Belchbreath, it's no use. He won't see or speak to anyone anymore. Such a shame, said Countess Frivolita. Ever since he cancelled your weekly eyeballs game, you've been completely obsessed with those silly word crosses. Crosswords, dear, said Count Drake. If the king did accept our invitation to the ball, do you think he would bring his son? Asked Amelia. Her eyes lit up for a moment. Or is Prince Tangine not allowed to come either, because he's not old? Prince Tangine is the future king for serpent's sake. He is always invited, sang the Countess. But remember, Amelia, Count Drake remarked, the prince's mother did get eaten by a fairy. I'd be surprised if the king ever lets him outside the palace walls. Grieving gobblepots, I'd go mad if I couldn't go and see my friends, said Amelia. Enough chitter-chatter now, Amelia. Eat up your falafels before they get cold. Then off to bed, said Countess Frivolita, prodding at Amelia's cheeks. We must keep your skin looking pale and death-like. Oh, no suntans for her, so that's how she looks, pale and death-like. But, Mum, it's the final of the great Gothic gravestone carve-off tonight. Can't I stay up for just a bit longer, said Amelia. Suddenly a huge bong echoed through the house. Drake, my little sweat gland. Are we expecting visitors? Said Countess Frivolita. Woo, she called without waiting for her husband's reply. Please answer that immediately. Moments later, Woo appeared holding a gold envelope. We have a letter, Countess. It appears to be from the king. So there we are. There's the opening chapter of the book. And we're going to find out and think all about Amelia. So back to the roll on the wall. I've added a few things here for you to think about. In terms of her appearance, I've written down here, look, delicate hands. So we've already talked about she's got delicate hands. You might have added things like wings, and looking at the pictures, you might be able to pick up some other things about her from the pictures. In terms of her personality and her feelings, I've put she moans, so she's obviously quite annoyed, isn't she? Not very happy at the moment having to go to this ball, and not afraid to say so. Some people would perhaps keep it to themselves, but she is speaking her mind. You might think she's a little bit rebellious. She doesn't really want to do what her parents tell her. We'll find out in the story whether she does or not. I suspect she might. And also that she enjoys digging in the dirt, doing things outside and getting messy. So she's quite an outdoorsy character. So hopefully you'll have jotted down some things as I've gone through the story. You can have a look on the Google Drive because this PowerPoint is up there. Reread it, highlight and find things that you would like to add to your role on the wall too, to really get into the character. So just to go back to the steps to success, we've already matched the word and the definition. So you'll be looking at the features of a character's appearance from the text and identifying their personality traits from the text. And to do that, you will need to infer meaning from the text. You will need to think really hard. What can I learn about Amelia from reading this story? So it's your turn now to complete the role on the wall. While you do that for a few moments, I'm just going to flip back to my other screen and see if I can see whether any of you have asked any questions or put anything into the comments box. Let's just have a look. How do I do that, Mrs. Norris?
So if you get this, so it's
Oh yes,
full screen.
Let's just go that.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, questions.
Now, children, you may be able to see on your screen somewhere that you can type onto your screen questions or answers or comments that you might have. You might even want just to type a quick hello so that I know that you're there. If you can do that, that would be quite fun to see who's there. And then I can see you can also add anything that you've learnt about Amelia Fang. Would be really nice to see if you've got anything that you can add. Can you see how to do that on your screens? I'll just give you a moment to see if you want to type anything to me, or carry on with your role on the wall and think about that. Just give it a moment or two, because it would be lovely to hear from you. I can see that there are 18 of you attending this live lesson, which is great. That's over half the class. Might not be working very well at the moment, I think. My screen's just turning over. Not to worry, it's not the end of the world, but hopefully you've enjoyed tuning in for our first 3E live lesson. I will be talking to some of you, or as many of you are possible to speak to next week. I think we're going to have a chance to get together and have a little chat then. But in the meantime, nothing's coming through, so we'll leave that there. Enjoy thinking about Amelia Fang. Really get to grips with her. Tomorrow we'll be looking at another character who is similar in some ways and different in others, and the activity will be very similar, looking at her personality, looking at her appearance, and then beyond that we'll be comparing the two characters. So hopefully you've enjoyed Amelia Fang. She is quite good fun, and I wonder whether it's a book that you might be able to go on and read in time. But well done for tuning in, children. Lovely to know that you're out there, and I do hope to see you very soon. Okay, thank you.